Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the podcast. It's the Builders Ladder podcast. You're back for another banger. If you're tuning back in, then please hit that review button and let us know if we're doing a good job or a bad job, or share this with a friend in the industry that you think would benefit from becoming a better business owner. We are here to bring on better guests, give you better content, but if we get absolutely zero feedback, we're just going to keep doing it our way. We would love to do it with you though. So leave us some feedback, drop it in the comments. If you're following along on the YouTubes, then this one might be for you because we've got a couple of things to share on screen. Today is pretty simple. I've got the one pager. This is the one pager on how to win back 1 day per week. Or how do you do that, I hear you ask? Well, it's not easy. I'm not suggesting it's easy, but I am suggesting that we can do it in a more simple manner. You see, if you're running a residential building company, you might have run up against a glass ceiling. Often, the bottleneck of the business is at the top of the bottle. So what that means is all problems and issues run up to the bottleneck, which is usually the owner at the top of the organization chart. The bottleneck is at the top of the bottle. And you might be experiencing a bottleneck if you're in one of a few places. Either one, you have run out of problem-solving skills, and that is because you don't have the right process or the right people. This normally happens at around the $1.5 to $2 million mark, and again at around the $5 million mark, and then again at around the $9 to $10 million mark. And this is because what got you to that level won't get you to the next level, because what was required here is now becomes often your biggest bottleneck and doesn't allow you to go to the next place. For example, what got you to the $1.5 or $2 million in revenue is normally hustle, muscle, and jazz hands. You're being a fantastic operator, really good on site, really good at scheduling, pretty okay at estimating and pricing, but then also, you're a good project manager. The problem is, to take that next step and to go to around the $5 million mark, you're going to have to delegate so that you can elevate. You're going to have to pass problems to your team, have them solve it so that you're not having to be responsible for every single decision on site and in the office, part of the estimating, the sales, the pricing, project management, dealing with the clients, coordinating the subs, and doing all the scheduling. It's a nightmare. It will end up making you burn the candle at both ends. So how do you delegate so you can elevate? Well, there are 3 key questions that you want to, and I want to discuss today to help you delegate problems to your team and help coach and train them to be better problem solvers. So let's dive into it. I'm going to give you a couple of tips at the end on how you can make sure you buy back an entire day a week so that you can spend that working on the business or taking your business to another level entirely. So the 3 questions, without any further ado. Anytime you delegate something to a team member in the office or on site, you want to ask 3 key questions. They are, number 1, do you know what to do? Number 2, do you know how to do it? And number 3, do you know when it needs to be done by? What to do, how to do it, when it needs to be done by. If they answer yes, yes, yes with detail and specificity, fantastic. It's over to them. If they don't answer these questions with specificity, there is poor communication and there's going to be a breakdown of something not happening how you expected it to happen. So if they know what to do, they know how to do it, and they know when it's done, it's now a them problem and it's up to them to solve it. If they can't answer those things, it's still a you problem, and you're going to need to better define the definition of done. You're going to need to better define what they need to do. I need you to go from A to B by C using this method, right? I need you to generate 10 leads that are above $500,000 in contract value by the end of the quarter, right? Then I would ask, do you know what to do? I would say, do you know how to do it? And they would give me their plan, and I would either course correct them on that plan or let them fail as part of a learning exercise. All right. And then they should know when it needs to be done by so that we can both agree upon a deadline and when I'm going to follow up. I might follow up a week in advance, or I might decide to shorten the timeline and then just follow up when it is required. This is the same principle we use when we do debtor management. We never, when we're doing debt collection, go, I need you to pay that money by close of business today. They're just gonna be like, dude, I told you I couldn't pay it by close of business today. So why are you asking me to do it by close of business today? You always get them to tell you the time and then to ask them if they think that's fair. So you would say, when can we expect payment? They would say next Tuesday. And then I would go, okay, cool. I'll follow you up next Tuesday. Or you would go, Simon, I've got team to pay. What do you suggest I do? All right. Again, having them come up with the problem and have them put themselves in your shoes. Okay. That's what we would do with debtor management. And the same thing applies to this. Okay. When should it be done by? They will say next Tuesday. You can go, fantastic. Now you know when to follow up and when you can come back in and hold them accountable to them saying what they were going to do, how they were going to do it, and when it will be done by. So these are the 3 delegation questions you should always end any delegation meeting or any time you delegate a task with. Do you know what to do? Do you know how to do it? And do you know when it needs to be done by? Hopefully that makes sense. I want to leave you now, before we wrap up, this is a quick fire, bing, bang, bomb, right in, right out, little 10-minute tactic on 2 other things that you should be considering or thinking about to make sure that you can buy back 1 day a week. Now, the first is more strategic. It's 30,000 foot view. And the second is really granular, right in the weeds on how you can delegate some other stuff. So the first is the 10-80-10 rule. Now, the 10-80-10 rule is that as you delegate, you want, and as you delegate to more competent people because they get better at answering what to do, how to do it, and when it'll be done by, and they're proving themselves, you want to delegate outcomes. And when you're delegating an outcome, you're normally just wanting to participate in the first 10% of a task. They do the middle 80%, and then you come in for the final 10%. So the 10-80-10 rule. First 10%, they do the middle 80, you come back in for the final 10. And this is so that you can refine and be really clear around the DOD, or the definition of done. Do you know what to do? Do you know how to do it? And do you know when it will be done by? And I'm going to coach them and give examples and make sure they really dial that in. And then I'm going to come back into inspect my expectations. So you're going to have expectations. You might trust them, but you must trust and verify. Otherwise, we are abdicating, not delegating. Whenever we abdicate, we give up ownership or to somebody that may or may not be competent enough and to get it done. And that's how we often lead to real struggles and challenges with quality control, people deviating from your standards and your values, and then often course correction has deviated out and becomes very costly, very painful, very difficult to do. The final 10% coming out at the end of any task or job is so that you can trust but verify, so that you can inspect your expectations around what you set at the beginning. So the 10-80-10 rule is really simple, and it's how you should be thinking about you delegating outcomes to people. I want to do the first 10% with the 3 delegation questions, and I want to do the last 10% with my inspection of my expectations. I want to trust that you're going to do it, but I'm just going to be here to verify that trust so that we're delegating, not abdicating. So that's a framework that you want to think about from a 30,000 foot view looking down. All right, the final one I'm going to leave you with now is a really granular strategy that you can use for repeating and recurring tasks, typically used for in-office tasks. Things like reconciling of accounts, doing the bookkeeping, maybe reaching out through social media scheduling, doing your website updates, making sure that you update the leads board or your CRM, sending emails out to sales prospects, but also to your larger marketing list, office admin, contracts admin, marketing coordination, sales coordination, this sort of stuff. Now, the way that we would unpack it is with a repeating and recurring tasks and default calendar. So the best way to go about this is to open up a Google Calendar or an Outlook calendar. We want to start by building out the list of tasks for a particular position in a calendar. Okay, so let's choose, for argument's sake, office management. Maybe 50 to 75% of office management tasks will repeat and recur. And what I mean by that is they will happen every day, week, month, or quarter. Okay, and we would know that on a Tuesday, we typically want to make sure there's enough cash in the bank. We're following up on invoices. We're doing whatever happens every Monday. We know that at the end of a week, we want to do whatever happens every Friday. We update the clients on the progress made and what's happening on their site next week. And then what we go about doing is we go about putting these tasks into their default calendar on Outlook or on Google Calendar. Inside of these task blocks that might be 30 minutes to 2 or 3 hours, when we double click into that task block, we want to see a link through to how to do that task. And that link might go to a Loom video, a screen recording, or a checklist or a how-to document. And this is so that we can then delegate the task to who, it's in their calendar, and then provide them with a how to do that particular task. So in practice, whether it's your significant other, your wife, your partner, your offshore talent, somebody you might have hired via onlinejobs.ph or Tradie VA or something like that, you'll be able to delegate the full default calendar to them. They will be able to come to team at the, at xyzconstruction.com or whatever, log into that account. That's their calendar for that role. And then they can see the recurring tasks. And when it gets to Thursday at 4 o'clock, they're able to click on the event or the meeting invite at Thursday at 4 o'clock and see how to do that task. And that task might be to call the project manager for each project, make sure that they go on to Buildertrend or CoConstruct or Rave or whoever, pull the photos off, get some commentary from the project manager of each project, put together some draft emails for each client, and then send for a custom email before the end of the week for each client on progress made that week on their job and what's happening next week on their project. And that's a repeating and recurring task that might be the responsibility of that office person that falls into that default calendar. The same can be true for people like apprentices and foremen that have repeating and recurring tasks around scheduling, labor hours, setting site up, packing site down, ordering materials, doing purchase orders, and making sure variations or change orders are signed off on a particular cadence, whether that be daily or weekly. So hopefully that is a helpful kind of like right in the weeds strategy that you can implement, and you can even consider for your calendar, your default calendar, what happens and what should you be doing every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, or every bi-weekly or beginning of month or end of month should you be looking at. For example, reviewing your chart of accounts, your P&L, your profit and loss statement, your balance sheet, your cash flow, and your work in progress report. So here's to your success. The best way that you can approach buying back one day a week is to, number one, master the art of your 3 delegation questions that sit in the first 10% of the 10-80-10 rule on how to delegate outcomes. Then get really good at understanding how you're going to loop back in on the inspection of your expectations. And then for repeating and recurring tasks who are not delegating an outcome to somebody, we want to set up a recurring calendar with really clear instructions in the meeting links, in the meeting times of that calendar. So if this has been helpful, drop us a like, comment, share, send this to somebody that you think would benefit from us. My name is Owen Chambers from the Professional Builder, Managing Director here with my business partner, Marty Amos. We help residential building companies go to the next level by improving their team and systems, sales and marketing, or numbers and pricing. So if you want to go to the next level, then give us a follow, give us a like, and we'll see you on the other side. Otherwise, here's to your success, and here's to building a business that gives you both more time and more money and isn't just a busy job with overheads. Talk to you soon. Catch you later.